Mix means variety, Mix 94.5. This is Jay Thomas. You are listening to the Mix Morning Show and going on very, very soon in Des Moines at the Iowa Event Center, Animate and Nightmare Weekend. And brought to you by GalaxyCon. Going to be a huge convention all weekend. I love it when cons come in. You can see all sorts of crazy stuff. And the fun thing about Animate is that there's going to be tons of voice artists that are there that I know you know from hearing it. And I have one of those artists right now. I've loved so many of his characters. You might know him as Scratch the Ghost, maybe Granny from Squidbillies, Gazpacho from Chowder. We've got Dr. Colosso on there. And of course, what I know best, Master Shake from Aqua Teen Hunger Force. Dana Snyder is here. Good morning.
Jay, thank you. Good morning to you. What a pleasure it is to be here in the digital world, flying through the air, speaking with you today.
I'm so excited when they said when I got the email, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna set up an interview." I'm like, "Great, I will talk to whoever you got." And they said your name, like Master Shake. Absolutely, let's make this happen.
As soon as you said anybody you got, that's why they sent you me.
Well, originally it was funny. It was the email that I received. It was about like Friday the 13th and doing like a Halloween thing because the Nightmare Weekend's going to be real big. So I was like, yeah, let me know who we're going to talk to. And I figured to be somebody in horror. And then when they said Dana Snyder, I'm like, well, I don't think he's very horror, but I want to talk to him immediately.
Well, I do play a ghost. I don't want to.
That is true. Yes.
And I have one of my incredible, amazing credits you did not mention is the Adult Swim show Your Pretty Face is Going to Hell.
That's right. I've watched
which is nothing but blood and gore.
And you actually get to be in it, like in live action.
Yeah, I played his roommate in the first season, and then season 3, somebody got sick, so then I became a demon. It's for people who don't know, it's a workplace comedy set in hell. They all have to wear corporate polos, and they all have cubicles, but yeah, I then played the demon Troy, who was in hell because he was the world's greatest lawyer who fought on behalf of the tobacco companies against smoking cancer victims.
Oh my God.
So that's why he was in hell.
You've been in something Marvel, something DC, something Star Wars, something Star Trek. Are the animated fandoms as toxic as like the movie ones? Because my goodness, people are fighting left and right online between those properties.
Yeah, I feel like probably everybody's fighting about everything, no matter what.
It's just what's going to happen.
I would not want to be Minnie Driver right now after that Penguin stuff came out. As someone who played the Penguin myself, she's the voice of the new Penguin, and I think they were trying to do, something totally new and interesting. But from what I've heard, there's been a lot of fans screaming as if
backlash on that one.
Yeah, added some more Lady Ghostbusters or something. I haven't heard people screaming that loud.
I didn't know anything about her being the Penguin in, I believe it's the Amazon Prime Batman show.
Yes.
And the Penguin came on the screen. I'm like, oh, I was not aware of this. I bet the internet is really angry right now.
Yes. Yeah. And then you sit there and say, like, guys, what do you care?
Yeah.
What do you care that I'm sorry, there's one show with Batman where the Penguin's a lady instead of a guy. And you got to go flying off your seat about it and screaming and yelling on the internet to anybody who'll listen. And then you're only screaming to the same people who agree with you. There's no.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And I'm a wrestling fan too, which is also an insane fandom.
Yeah.
And speaking of wrestling, that's one of the things that's also going to be there. Horror.
And by the way, not just wrestling. This is cosplay wrestling.
Right.
But I'm telling you, like, these wrestlers, they're the best. I've seen them for years. They're amazing. They're professional. This is not like amateur hour.
No.
But I mean, I went to one where they had a match that was Fred Flintstone versus the Invisible Woman from Fantastic Four.
Oh my God.
And they had another one which was when Toys R Us closed. They had Amazon UPS delivery guy versus Jeffrey the Giraffe from Toys R Us. I mean, they have some incredible stuff. The wrestling is one of my favorite things to go see because it's so fun. And, it's great for everybody. It's not just.
Oh, yeah.
You see a little 4-year-old kid going like, kill him, kill him. Like, just lighting fires in these people.
It's the fantasy super cosplay wrestling.
Yes,
the Galaxy's
FSCW.
number one wrestling. Other things going on. They've got the the dark cosplay competition. There's the cosplay for everybody. There's after dark stuff with dance parties, karaoke. Are you involved in any of that?
Probably. I'm sure I'll be
Probably.
crawling around somewhere, lurking in corners or asleep.
So with
The thing with this show is what's that same with all the GalaxyCon shows. Mike Broder, the guy who does it, I mean, he's very good because he knows a lot of people send their kids go and they're not necessarily old. They're not 21 years old, but they're old enough they can kind of. But he likes to have things there the whole day. A
right.
lot of shows sometimes I used to go to, like it'd be 6 o'clock and it's done. And then all of a sudden you got all these people like, well, what are we
Yeah, what's next?
doing now? We got a hotel room here. I guess we just sit in our hotel room now for the next.
Uh
But what's great about him is, yeah, I mean, he's got dance parties and karaoke, and it's going till 2 o'clock in the morning. There's stuff for any and every interest.
yeah,
I
there
mean,
really
like
is.
this one, you can go from chainsaw wielding mass murderers to My Little Ponies, all in all in
It's
the course of 45 minutes.
that's why I love cons because you see a little bit of everything, and sometimes it's right next to you, the other thing, and I mean it's I love conventions for that reason.
Yes.
And again, that is happening on starting September 27th, and it's going to go all week until the 29th. Lots of stuff happening, like we were saying. What exactly do you have planned that you know of as of right now for the con?
Well, I know we have panels. I don't know exactly what they are yet, but they're always about the same because no matter what they say it's about, we just end up jabbering. But
Right.
basically like this, Jay, right now, except
I
we're in a
was
room. And I can tell any panel we have, I want everybody to come to it because like we'll have seats and it'll be air conditioned.
and it'll be
And
fun.
by the time my panels go, you're going to be praying for that. You're going to hope, you're going to be wishing you had a seat to sit down in instead of on that cold, hard convention concrete floor.
I was gonna say before we got going and before we started talking, uh, one thing that must be nice for people that do animation and do a lot of voice work is that you're not instantly recognized when you're out, but you sound almost exactly like a lot of your biggest characters just talking to you. Do you get recognized a lot?
I mean, I wouldn't say a lot, but I have sometimes. I'm very realistic, but my probably most well-known character is from Aqua Teen Hunger Force,
Mhm.
arguably, or the one I'm most associated with. But the Aqua Teen Hunger Force in the universe of entertainment has been seen by about 7 people.
I
It's
it
it's you but like you're on 2 minutes on Dancing with the Stars and the world knows you. But
uh-huh.
I mean, we're a very tiny niche, so I am always impressed when someone knows, and also that it's a big red flag for me when they know because I'm like, I got to keep one eye out on you right here because I'm not sure what kind of person you are that you're watching these.
Oh, it was what Aqua Teen, when I was in college when I first started doing radio, we all watched it. And speaking of, Aqua Teen, it got me thinking, like, that is one of the most random shows I think I've ever
Yes,
seen. You never know what's gonna happen
no,
in the episode. It's only like 11 minutes long. You never know how it's gonna end. It could be totally different than what the rest of it's been. Um, did you ever like get the scripts and get ready to voice it and be like, what is this? What are we doing?
I
What is
mean,
happening?
literally, anytime we recorded it, I would get the script at best 5 minutes before we would walk in and record.
Right.
We'd always have a joke. They'd be like, "Did you read the script?" Nope. Okay, let's go. Like,
Sometimes it's more fun to, I would imagine, doing it that way.
well,
Especially,
and
I
the
mean,
way we always recorded that one too was we would just go. We all did it separate, so we were never together. Like I would do just all my lines in order, and that's it.
mhm.
So I'd go line one. Hey, get out of here! Leave me alone. Do it again. Hey, get out of here! Leave me alone. Get out of here! Leave me alone. All right, let's go to the next one. So like, there's a lot of time for him to. Dave is a great director, but of explaining what's going on. And I mean, I'm not going to say it wouldn't have helped had I known what was happening in the episode
Right.
beforehand, but I never really got the opportunity to because they also would make them so fast and cheap
Yeah.
that it's not like they had storyboards or. I mean, that's
I
what's
wouldn't
amazing
imagine.
now. Like, I do these other shows, for Disney and Nickelodeon and stuff, and like that's they're like old school. Like, and here's the storyboards, and we send them to you a week ahead, like a week ahead of time. What are you guys, billionaires? You got all this money just to throw around on?
Total difference. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I love all of them. I mean, I hope my heart will always be with Scrappy Adult Swim. That's like my career family.
Mhm.
But I mean, I love everything. I mean, I have a great job. I can't really
Yeah,
complain about any of it. It's blessed. I feel very lucky I get to do what I do.
and it is a fun thing. Like, I've never voiced an animated thing or anything, but I make commercials literally every single day where I have to be different characters here
Yeah.
and there, and it is really fun when you can, get into it, and it's like, "Oh, that's kinda fun. I get to do this again." Is there, like, a character that when you see it, you're like, "Oh, I'm so excited that I get to be this person again."
Yeah. I mean, whatever we're doing, I sit there like, well, at any time I think like, man, I can't believe I'm like, you could be painting lines on the highway, Chucky. So
Yeah.
just remember where you're at and be thankful for what you have. And I'll sit there and say like, yep. Anytime you think it's a little like, man, I can't believe it. Yeah, but you know what? There's 7 guys sitting right next to you who would murder their own grandmothers to do what you do.
Yeah, it
So
just
I
it's
keeps it
nice.
all murder. That's why I like the nightmare shows. Murder keeps my life in perspective.
It does.
Anytime I think something's going whatever, I try and equate it to some kind of horrific crime, and that pulls me back into reality that I should be appreciative.
When you do the panels, and people come and do, like, the Q&As and they come to talk,
Uh
do you kinda have an idea when they come up to the mic, "Oh, this person's gonna ask me about this show. I just have a feeling." Like, can you
huh.
kinda see, like, what kind of fandom they're coming from?
I mean, honestly, no. I
Really?
mean, well, yeah, like I mean, if a guy comes up dressed like Dr. Colasso from the Thundermans,
Right.
it's probably a good sign he's going to ask about Dr. Colasso or something. But I mean, typically, what I love is they're like a guy shows up dressed like Iron Man, and then they'll go like, Aqua Teen's my favorite show in the universe. There's nothing I love more. Well, and thanks for wearing your Iron Man costume to
Right.
show everybody. I really appreciate that. I'm sure the Disney Marvel money really needs that extra little push to get them over the finish line.
And I'm I
It's when it's when they have a costume on from something total opposite.
Mhm.
And but like, yeah, you can't always no. I mean, some panels you'll do with somebody else, and then it turns into like a weird. I get anxious about it because I'm like, oh God, I'm the loser up here. Everybody else wants to talk about everybody loves whatever anime show the guy's in, and he's a famous guy, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why am I even here? Or what? No one even cares. What am I doing up here?
I've been to a few panels, and it's always interesting. I've never really asked a question because I'm genuinely a fairly shy person, and, but I'll watch the people, and I'll watch them in just these full, amazingly put together cosplay
Yes.
outfits. Just a very detailed questions, and I love also when somebody goes up and they also have a costume, but it maybe took them 5 minutes to put together.
Yeah,
I love
that's
the
right.
costumes that are either
Yes.
really great or really terrible.
Yeah. Like but like that's what's always confusing to me because you're like, I gotta wear a costume, but you didn't make one. Yeah, but I can't go not in costume. Oh God. So then they're like slapdash throwing something together, which is more ridiculous than just wear
Mhm.
shorts and a t-shirt. Nobody cares. Or how about then like a t-shirt that's just got, I love Superman on it or whatever. Like, but when they go all out still, but maybe then I think like, well, maybe their skills are just so low.
Maybe. Yeah, but I loved it. I loved going through any con that I've been to, and then people are dressed up with their characters that they're clearly passionate about, and there's others that just like, "Ah, I got some duct tape, that might
Yeah,
work. I'll
whatever.
just be a side character. No one will."
My girlfriend told me we had to go as whatever, so I just threw this on.
You must have, the fans that must come to your booths, they've gotta be, just of all ages.
I mean, it's true. Yes, yes. I get a lot of people like my own age. I had something. So I do, there's this thing called Cameo
Mhm.
where you can like order a video for somebody's birthday from all different. They got sports people and all from all aspects of quote unquote celebrity, right? But I do them. Um, I do great. I give great Cameo, Jay. This is one of my
I bet.
best events. Um, but I got one the other day from somebody who was celebrating their 75th birthday
Oh,
for Aquatine.
that's
I was
amazing.
like, oh, I could feel just the liver spots bursting on my hands. Like it made me feel so old. I was like, well, I mean, if I think about it, it came out 25 years ago. Maybe she was, she's 50 or
Yeah.
maybe 40 when it started. I don't remember when it started. I guess it came out in 2000. Yeah, it came out. You know what? We're very close. It came out, Adult Swim premiered. I don't know if you know this, Jay. It premiered to quiet success. And then 11 days later, 9/11 happened.
Oh my goodness.
So like that's how I remember when it premiered.
And Aqua Teen was
Marred.
part of the original Adult Swim?
Yes, it was
I didn't
Space
realize that.
Ghost Coast to Coast, which already existed, and it
Mhm.
was Aqua Teen, The Brack Show, Harvey Birdman, and C Lab 2021. Those were the five. Like Space Ghost was already there, but they wanted to make more stuff for Space Ghost.
You've done multiple things, for Adult Swim, whether it was Squidbillies or Aqua Teen, also the Venture Brothers. I mean, did they when you got I mean, obviously, it's a sort of like a almost becomes like a family thing, like, at the network, like, you go from one show to the other. Was there one that you would get more excited to record?
I mean, I was very excited, but I was also very intimidated to do the Venture Brothers
Mhm,
because those guys are just like they work on a different level.
mhm.
Doc is super intense. Jackson is not as intense, but they're both like geniuses. Like the way they talk, the way they everything. They're just like they're some of the smartest people I've ever met. Uh and don't get me wrong, like Dave and Matt are very smart, but these guys just work differently. You know what I mean? And like they clearly, when Venture Brothers came out, it was a much better show than anything else that was on Adult Swim. It
Yeah,
felt like a quote unquote real cartoon that you could see on a actual network, and we would be like, I don't know why they're slumming over here. I
right.
guess I guess they just like no pay and bad working conditions rather than going over to Warner Brothers or something. But I also very much was very excited to do Super Jail, that Christy Caracas show that was sort
Oh,
of like
right.
that was because I love Christy Caracas. We all sort of know each other. Yeah, I mean, I've been on Tim and Eric, I've been on a couple episodes of Robot Chicken. I'm sure someone has been in more different episodes of Adult Swim who's not an on-site employee,
Right.
but I couldn't think who.
You've
I don't
also
know.
on, another show that I wasn't sure. I thought it was like a really just obviously a kids show. My wife's like, "No, you should watch this. I think you'd like it." Was Adventure Time. You've been a
Oh
couple different
yeah,
characters on there, and that is, I mean, it is very much as a kids show. But then when you watch it, it's like it's actually really deep. There's some really like
yeah.
heavy episodes in here.
That's a great show. It's a great. I love it. I loved it, and I still love it.
Yeah, I could turn
It's
that
one
on
of those
anytime.
things that if you do it really good, like, all right, I've watched Powerpuff Girls. I think that's a fine show for what it
Mhm.
is, but it doesn't work on all those levels. Sort of like, I mean, I do all the I do I play Patrick Starr's grandfather now on the Patrick Star show, and sometimes it's on SpongeBob and all that stuff. And
That's
like
fun.
those are all, it's great. They're all very watchable at all ages because you can tell the people who make it, they love it and they're making it for them.
Mhm.
They're not thinking, hey, what if I was only 5 years old and super stupid? How would I write this?
Yeah.
Like that kind of.
Well, yeah, you
And
can
I
definitely
know,
tell.
yeah, like some shows need to have that a little bit, but I think they dumb it down because they think children are stupid and they're not, or they got to make it quick and fast and cheap or something.
Right.
But I feel like a lot of Adult Swim shows are example that you can work fast and cheap and still have something that connects with people because you have it. You're writing it for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I
You're
totally
not
agree with that.
trying to, by committee, create a show that will be the greatest show. Because if that worked, there'd already be the greatest show of all time out, and it would be in season 500, and everybody'd be
Right.
watching it still.
Earlier we were talking about like the difference of some of the old sitcoms and things that are getting brought back. We were talking about the Munsters and Adam's Family, and
Oh
what
yeah,
were
what
some
do
of
they
the
call
things
it?
that you were huge
Reboot.
into?
What I was hugely into.
Yeah.
I mean, I think I like to think I watched them all for real, but I think honestly, I watched everything on Nick at Night. Like I
Hmm.
watched all those. Like I loved the Munsters. I love the Adams Family. I love Car 54. I loved Car 54. Where are you? And uh the Phil Silvers show, the Sergeant Bilko show.
Oh, right.
That those I thought were the. I mean, I thought Phil. I still think he's just one of the greatest comedic actors ever.
I loved
I
watching those old sitcoms on Nick at Night, and so
Yeah,
many of my friends were like, "Those are black and white and old." I'm like, "Yeah, but they're also really funny.
yeah,
You should
right.
watch them. They're great."
I know, and also because like those shows were populated with actual performers,
Hmm.
meaning like not people who just worked in television or whatever. Like these people were also before they ever got on this stuff, were out doing nightclub acts and singing and dance like they were stage performers because they
Right.
didn't have that stuff before then. But I also watched like all the 70s, like all those Chico and the Man and Sanford and Son and all that. Like I think that's more like Welcome Back Cotter. Like all
Yep.
those are like they're all dumb. Especially I watch them now. I'm like, ugh, why would anyone
The
watch this?
the first day that I broadcasted from home during the pandemic for a long time, for like 3 years, I decided to stay home, and my morning show partner at the time, we were trying to figure out how this was going to work, and we weren't using StreamYard yet or Zoom, so she would just call me when it was time to talk, and she goes, "What are you doing in between?" I'm like, "Watching Welcome Back, Cotter. I got the whole series. Might as well go through it while we're doing this for a couple weeks."
Yeah.
Which turned into way longer.
Yeah, now
But
you
yeah,
know
like, it's
every
it's so much fun to go back to those that, you were excited about at one point and that inspired you to do stuff, and,
Well, that's
um
great. What's crazy to think with those old shows is that it wasn't like now, where
yeah.
there's 100 or 1,000 streaming channels. I mean, there were 3 channels. And so at 8 o'clock, there were only 3 shows on that you could watch. And it seems like most of the time, the majority of everybody tuned into one of those 3 shows.
Mhm.
So like everyone in the country the next morning, we're like, hey, did you see what Horshack did to Mr. Cotter? Pretty great stuff last night. Like everybody now it's like, oh, have you seen that thing on Peacock Plus? And you're like, what was it? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like a documentary. They murdered somebody, and like there's like so much. Everybody's so diffused.
There's so many options. It's almost like a full-time job to keep up with stuff like that.
Yeah. And then I did watch last night on Amazon Prime to prepare myself for the Nightmare Weekend, The House That Dripped Blood.
That sounds like fun.
It's on Amazon Prime, so it's, free if you
Yeah.
have Amazon Prime, but it's one of those old like Denholm Elliott is in it. It's about a house that's up for sale, but they tell the story of 3 different people who lived in the house and how they all it's one of those like what's his name? Peter Cushing.
Mm. Like the
Like
Hammer
those
movies?
English, it's like an English 60s horror movie. One is like has like a house of wax and
I love it.
uh
That sounds like fun.
but it's like, yeah, the real estate agent's like, well, this house is for sale. Maybe it's right for you. And they don't go into like the first story of the first. It's like an anthology movie, but
Yeah.
real like corny, but fun. Like it is horror, but it's not what's the word? Graphic.
Right, and, like, gratuitous and
Yes,
yeah,
right.
you're not gonna see a lot
Oh,
of stuff in it.
its existence is gratuitous. However, it's not graphically gratuitous.
Yeah, that's the I think so what do you get excited for when you go to like, obviously, you're not, at your booth the entire time you're at one of these conventions. So what do you get excited to go see when you're there?
Well, I mean, I love the great thing about I go to almost all of the Galaxy Nightmare Animate ones. The guy who runs it is old buddy of mine. Um, but I love exploring the city.
Mm,
That's my unfortunately, usually we don't have that much time to do it
right.
because, like I said, we're there from 10 in the morning until 8 o'clock at night. And honestly, I'm old, Jay. I can't do it. Gets me 8 o'clock. They're like, "Hey, we're going to the barbecue rodeo." I'm like, "You're going to the barbecue
Yeah,
rodeo.
have
I'm
fun.
going to room 687 and going to put on a Netflix. I'm going to watch The House that Dripped Blood again and sleeping." But
My
I love, yeah, like I mean, last time we were in Des Moines, which we're definitely going to go to again. My friend Guy and I, we went to. There was like a great, amazing British pub we went to,
mm,
and we went to. I can't remember what it's called now, but it's the everyone there would know it's the Chinese pizza place. I mean, they have like
is it Fong's? Is that what
yes, yes,
I honestly have never been there, but I know so many people that
it's
absolutely
great.
love that place.
It looks awesome because it's a Chinese restaurant from whatever the 20s or something, but they also serve pizza now. They turned it into a
Yeah.
pizza place, but it's still got all the old decoration. Like it's awesome. It's awesome. I'm hoping to explore more of the city this time. I'm not sure if it will happen because, like I said, we get there late Thursday night and then I leave
Yeah,
Monday morning.
got your stuff
But
doing
like, we'll get at
nonstop.
least two good dinners in. I know that we'll get
You're
two
right.
good dinners in. The great thing about the show in Des Moines is that it's right in the city and
Mhm.
there's so much stuff that's walkable right there.
It's all there,
So,
yeah.
like, if you're like me a little bit, some people like need to remove themselves from it for a little bit because it's
It can be a lot.
overwhelming. It's nonstop noise. Everyone has been walking around and sweaty and stinky for hours, and they're wearing a costume they've had on 3 days in a row.
Mhm.
Sometimes you just want to like get out into the quiet. And that's what I love. Like, let's go have lunch over at this place. But it's all close enough. You can, it's an 8-minute walk.
Yeah.
It's not like sometimes you go to one and it's like the convention center is this just sort of island in the middle of nowhere surrounded by airport runways or
Oh,
something.
yeah,
And
you're,
you're
like,
like,
right in the middle of the city for this, for
yeah,
in Des
it's
Moines,
great. And Des
so
Moines is great too because it's like you can tell it's an old city with money,
Mhm.
a moneyed city because there's all those gorgeous, like old brick stone buildings downtown
Yeah.
that a lot of places don't have. Abilene, Kansas downtown does not look like Des Moines with all the moneyed stone. They're gorgeous.
So for people that have never been to an Animates or a Nightmare Weekend, what can they expect? What do you think is gonna be able to get them there other than obviously, meeting you, Dana?
Well, it's a very distant second place after that. I
I'd imagine, all
assure
downhill.
everyone. I mean, as this is probably a true testament. Uh, More where this came from. Nothing but this. A lot more than this. Well, I mean, the thing is, the thing that would get you there. First off, get out, go do something once in your life. Don't just sit
Mhm.
there. It's not going to be on TV. Uh, but I mean, there really is a little bit of everything.
There is.
Little bit of everything. It's got, especially this one, because you got all the rogues gallery of murderers and people who were murdered from all the horror movies.
Yep.
All those people who play those people. Uh, but then also you could have all this cartoon stuff. But I mean, if you want to go and just go sit in rooms and listen to people talk about their shows they're in. There's all these great panels. There's also like a bunch of instructional panels, like how to make costumes. I'm sure they're going to
Yeah,
have how to rip somebody's face off on camera or
I hope so.
makeup tutorials, and there's also a whole section of like vendors of shopping. Do you need a sword from Kingdom Hearts?
They probably got it.
I guarantee you it'll be for sale there, Jay. There'll be 100 ways to part with your cash, with your
Eh,
hard-earned money. All of them are very enjoyable. There's also a whole section of like artists who do their original artwork and sell their prints and stuff. And I mean, you could go as your whole family, and everybody would find something they would like.
yeah, my wife came with me the first time I went, and she's like, "Don't get anything too nerdy." I'm like, "We're at a convention. What are you talking about?" She immediately found, like, these old, this old jewelry stand that they had up, and she was buying stuff before I did. I'm like, what
Uh-huh.
is this?
By the way, you have the Chucky doll behind you. I
Mhm.
think it'd be a great impact for the rest of the year when you do these interviews if you were dressed exactly like Chucky and just
Mhm.
had him over there over your shoulder. Get
I
the
think it's a
striped
good
shirt
idea.
and the, you know,
I try to incorporate him in as much as I can.
it's pretty great.
Figured
And he's
he'd be good
holding
for the
something. He's holding
nightmare
like a
weekend.
Doctor Strange medallion or something. What's he holding in his hands?
Oh, in his hands, it's the cube from Hellraiser, and then around his neck, he's got like the some amulet that's from the Chucky movies. Yeah, it's a lot of. I've spent too much money on stuff.
Too many. There's too many Chucky movies. It used to be just about a homicidal doll, and now they got to have a whole mythos because they're on like Chucky 27. Like, no,
Oh,
it's
they're
an
doing a whole TV
amulet
show
that's
now. They've left movies.
yeah.
I love it.
Chucky's
I've
on
loved them for a
Netflix,
long time.
folks.
So many. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of reunions going on there at the show. There's a Hocus Pocus reunion, Halloween Town Monster Squad, which I'm excited for. Friday the 13th, and of course there's Adventure Time, Night Before Christmas. There's so many things. Anime, just animation in general. There's stuff for horror fans. I mean, this really is a packed weekend full of a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah. So there's something for everybody. I'll tell you what I'm most excited about is that the Kyoto brothers are going to be there,
Hmm.
who did Killer Clowns from Outer Space,
I
right?
love Killer Clowns.
However, the other thing that they did, and I have not seen them since they did this, is they also designed, built, and puppeteer the Dr. Colosso puppet from the Thundermans.
Oh, really?
So we worked together. We all played one character.
That's amazing.
Yes. And they're a great guy. I did something else with them too, a pilot for Disney a long time ago with Clancy Brown was in it. But they did it. I met them, and then, because sometimes on the Thundermans, which is a Nickelodeon show, like a Tweety kind of live action show, sometimes
Hmm.
my rabbit turns into a real person, which is me. But so I've had like been on set and take pictures, get to meet them and stuff, and they're awesome guys. So I said this time, I said, not to tell them, but I said, could I moderate their Kyoto Brothers panel?
Oh, that'd be great.
Like, I don't know if they're going to let me do it, only because some of these moderators, that's their job, number one. But number two, like sometimes they're like, I really want to moderate the,
Right.
Princess and the Frog panel. Like I will draw blood if someone from my cold dead fingers will you get to moderate. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it, but I'm excited. I'm very excited about seeing them because it's been a while. And now we're making there's a new spin-off of the Thundermans that I think they just started in just this month.
Oh, wow.
And I'm in it. I know that. So I'm interested to talk to them about it and see if they've started on it already. Because I know they're also in it because the rabbit's there.
Are
So
there any other characters that might be coming back anytime soon that you haven't done for a while?
great question. Thanks for reminding me of everything I'm in that's canceled. Nope, that's it. No, I don't know.
I am
I'm
done.
I'm doing. I mean, I have a bunch of things, but to be honest, it's. I know this sounds strange, but like I don't know what all of them are
Right.
because they're not out yet. Like I could tell you the names of them, although I'm not supposed to tell you the
R-
names because like there's like this. Like I'm doing a video game this afternoon. That's a sequel to something,
Mm.
but I never played it in the first place. So I don't really know what it is, but I've asked my niece and nephew. My daughter doesn't, she's too little to play video games. She's 37, Jay. I'm
Gotcha.
kidding. She's only 10, but I don't know. Like, but my nephew was like, oh yeah, that's an awesome game. I'm like, all right.
That's got to be a good reference there. You got to go right to the source. Find
Yeah.
out if
Now,
it's going to be worth it.
luckily I have children, and my daughter, like, it's a real cachet sometimes because she'll be like, oh, you guys like the Thundermans? Dr.
Guess what?
Cosso's my dad. Like the parents are like, ugh, ugh. But like for the third to fifth grade set, that's
Is
it.
it?
Like I could be your weird old uncle. I'll appeal to your weird old uncle, or maybe like your 10-year-old child.
somewhere in between. Maybe there's a
And then
few others.
stragglers on both ends,
Yeah.
right? Like, oh yeah, like I got a lot of like, oh, I found my dad showed me Aqua Teen for the first time. I'm like, okay, how old are you? 40. I'm like, ugh, I'm old.
I
Varicose
remember on
vein.
one of the Aqua Teen DVDs, I don't remember which season, but there's a play all button, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I'll just because
Oh
it's one of
yes,
those shows I've seen so many times that I can just have it in the background, and I just love hearing it. And I hit that, and then I was like, what is happening back there? I turned around, every episode at
yes,
once. I'm like, I laughed so hard at that. I'm like, that's a nice
yeah.
joke right there.
They used to love doing that stuff. Like they had the premiere of the first movie on Adult Swim
Hmm.
live.
That's
It
cool.
was like a 1 inch square down in the bottom right of the
That sounds
channel
about
while the
right.
regular shows were going on. They just had it like I mean your thumbnail just right down at the bottom right
Oh,
corner.
that's hilarious.
They're like, well, we did show the whole movie.
Is there a big difference in recording for a movie, like an animated show and a video game, or is it all kind of the same sort of thing?
I mean, I would say for me, video games are the most taxing. First
Mhm.
off, it always depends who's doing it. Like, did a record for Nickelodeon is a different kind of level or Disney. Like I did a Star Wars show that had uh the it was on Disney, so it had the Disney people in the room and the Star Wars people in the room
Oh, that'd be
and
nerve-wracking.
the Lego people in the room. So they had like all three interests had to be,
Ugh,
representative so that they're to what do you call it? Protect their product or whatever you want
that's
to
giving me
say.
anxiety, and you already did it a long
Yeah,
time. Oh, no, I couldn't
yeah.
handle that.
I mean, like, well, everybody's very nice. I mean,
Yeah,
everybody's there for good reason. We're not at the DMV,
right.
or like we're not in court getting our, sentencing or something. But like, I mean, but the video games, you don't get normally you have a script,
Yeah.
like a script. Video games is a script, but it's a spreadsheet because
Ugh.
there's so many lines and like, all right, well, here's 10 lines, but now here's another 10 lines for if you're losing the fight. Here's 10 more lines if you're winning the fight. Here, there's like all
Yeah.
these options. They have to cover everything. And then you have to do these. When you see guys who do a lot of video games, they're experts at it. But it'll be like, all right, now we need winning punch sounds. So they'll go like, hee ha hoo ha hoo. There's like, that's great. Now we need losing sounds. Ooh, ah, ooh, and I
I think
mean,
they do
these
that all
guys
day.
just like whip through them because they do it all the time. Like I'm trying to be, what would my character if I was just above the belly button, hit in the stomach with the sledgehammer? What would that? Nope, it doesn't matter. This 12-year-old kid on his Xbox is not breaking down what the
Right.
you know
I'm
it's
sure
fascinating
there are
watching
some
those
gamers
guys.
that play those games for so long that they do start to notice the changes,
Oh,
and
absolutely.
yeah, for sure.
Yes.
Before
But
I let you go, I saw a
yes.
thing the other day. I read on the air about this guy that has become a wedding destroyer. That's like a job that he's doing in England where people can hire him, and he'll be the one that's like, I object to people's weddings. And I was wondering what character you think would be best as a wedding destroyer.
I mean, I feel like it's pretty obvious, but I feel like Shake would object to Master Shake objects to everything anyway. So why
Yes.
would he not object to a woman to a wedding, especially if the bride was in his eyes real hot?
Is there
He'd
any
say,
way
"Why are you going
we
with
could
this?
hear what that might sound like?
Hey, lose the zero, get with the hero. I object. What are you doing with this bag of trash? Go with me, baby. I'll show you the world. Not like this 10 pounds of bologna in a 5-pound bag. What are you looking at, Padre? What do you run out of communion wafers for your service later? Mind your own business. Listen, I know you got all your family here. Don't worry about these people. Just come with me, baby. I'll show you the world.
That'd be great. That's one of my favorite things about Shake too, when he gets real loud and then gets kind of quiet about it.
I mean, the thing with Shake, all the Aqua Teens is they're much like a SpongeBob. They are universal characters that you could picture them in almost any situation and you know how they would react. And that's what a great character is.
Yep.
They don't need the support structure of where they are to, a mad scientist, if you maybe, that's not a good example, but I'm usually great with examples, Jay. I'm usually incredible with examples. That was not a good one. I admit it.
Well, we're doing this on a Monday. You can
That's true.
blame it on that for sure.
Yeah, there you go. I've been up for 12 minutes and we've been doing this for 30. So do the math on that one. I
All
take
right.
micro naps with my eyes open in between questions. That's how I recharge.
I didn't even notice, and I appreciate that. Plus,
You know what? I try.
I know
I've
how
been
much you
working
need
on it a
sleep.
long
People need
time.
sleep.
Yeah, I went up to one of those, Buddhist temples on the top of the mountain in Tibet to learn the technique. Like, what's the bad guy in the Batman? The Glog Ragul or whatever his name
Ra's al
is.
Ghul, yeah.
What is it?
Ra's
Not
al Ghul.
Ragu. Ra's al Ghul. Yes, right. I learned that technique. Never sleep. Micro naps.
Depends on what you see him in, because they've called him something different in TV shows and
Yeah.
different animations, and then in movies. Like, pick a
And
name. Why are we not settled
Ghoul.
on this?
Yes, as he's in Pasta Fazool is what they call him in Italy. He's got a lot of international names.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Dana, thank you so much for coming on and talking about Animate and Nightmare Weekend. Again, that is going on September 27th, and it's all weekend long. Stuff for horror fans, stuff for animation fans. Basically, if you're a fan of anything, I guarantee you're going to find something there. And thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
Roll the dice. Check it out.
It's gonna
Well,
be
what else
fun.
you going to do that weekend? Sit around and feed the squirrels? They can go without for ruin a wedding, perhaps. Now that I gave some great ideas for people how to ruin a wedding. Oh, I should have charged for that. I'm always giving it away, Jay. I got to think about this. This is why I'm broke. That and my terrible gambling addiction. But those two things, if it wasn't for that, man, I'd be loaded. Solid gold house.